I'm Malcolm Van Delst, and this is an excerpt from Do the Wrong Thing. We are in book two. Do the Wrong Thing is a book series or extra long novel that opens with a woman trying to kill herself. She says, I don't know why I tried to do this, and by way of explanation, tells her life story. We are revisiting book two. Last week, Ava questioned the meaning of everything, including the religion she's grown up on, and fell in love with her charismatic English teacher. And I'll put my questions at the end. Mr. Fern tells us that we have to write an essay. I can't remember what the parameters are, but at 3 a.m. the night before it's due, I can't put it off any longer. I write fast. I'm at the kitchen table, not in my room, listening to the silence, seeing light and air. When I'm at university, I'll work late into the night all the time, I think, like a dark, mysterious person. You'll get your essays back on Wednesday, Mr. Fern announces when we turn them in. So on that midweek day, I move from my normal seat at the front to one at the back where I slouch and try to hide. Mr. Fern divides the class into groups of 4 and hands out photocopies of our essays. We're going to work together to grade each other's writing, he says. The group that gets mine gives me a C, what I expected. Then Mr. Fern gives back our original papers with his grading and comments. He smiles in a kind of ironic way when he hands me mine, but there's something else. I like you, his smile seems to say. I think you're a good, cool person. Mr. Fern would never say cool, though. What does cool mean, he'd ask. He twirls on one foot and walks away from me to give the next kid their work. I look down. A. Beside the A, he's written, this, dare I say it, is excellent. He's used hyphens in his sentence, the way he taught us earlier. I'd written about assisted suicide and how it shouldn't be allowed. Aren't there enough guns, knives, and other things in the world to help a person kill themselves if they want to, I'd said. Why do we need to help people kill themselves? When I put those sentences down, my mother was nowhere in my mind, but she'd started to say it more frequently. I'll take your father's shotgun to the back of the farm and blow my head off. Then see how you'll feel. Then see how you'll feel. I'm hungry. I starve myself every day, consuming nothing but black coffee until a lunch of fresh French fries smothered in vinegar. I avoid the calorie-laden ketchup. I'm tough. I don't smile anymore. I think about people like Janis Joplin, who was strong and beautiful but suffered. I suffer. Mr. Fern doesn't suffer. He laughs, preens, and makes jokes at the front of my first class of the day. My eyes glued to him and my ears open to everything he says. Mr. Fern gave my essay an A when everyone else said C. He teases me in written comments on my work and asks me to answer questions. My hand is always up in other classes, though in his, I'm unusually quiet. E gurgle, gurgle, e. My stomach growls so loud, Mr. Fern pauses in his lesson. I blush. The first flush, embarrassing me enough that I flush again, and that flush sets off another in a chain reaction until I sit there, glowing like Rudolph's nose. If that wasn't sufficient, my gut now starts in earnest. Glop, gurt, ee. I try to close down around it. I try to hide my face. Glop, gurgle. Mr. Fern goes on with his lesson. I certainly care what my classmates think of me, but I care much, much more about what he thinks. And right now, I'm hardly the self-possessed, worldly woman I want him to see. I know he's married. It's not, I don't know. I'm so confused. Glop. Why does my body refuse to obey me? At the kitchen table before school, everyone but me eats porridge, eggs, and bacon. Mom, I say quietly, I don't feel well. Have you got a cold? I shrug. She gets up and puts her hand on my forehead. You don't have a fever. I don't want to go to school, I mumble. What I don't tell her is that it's my heart that's sick and not my physical one. She looks hard at me and says, well, maybe you should go upstairs to bed. Later, when everyone has left for school and my dad's outside, I come down from my room and sit silently at the kitchen table. Mom is at the counter making bread. I smell apples, cinnamon, and flour. The radio plays CKNW, today's best variety, my mom's favorite station. Mom? She half turns, doesn't say anything. I stare at the lime green pattern on the table's white plastic tablecloth. I hear Mom's hands pushing the bread dough across the counter. Why don't boys like me? I speak to the table almost as much as to my mom. Her hands stop pushing bread. She sighs impatiently. It doesn't matter, she says. I feel the hardness growing in my stomach and a sting forming at the back of my eyes. Someone will like you someday, huh? Why do you care? She attacks the bread dough with her fists. I'm on a date with Jake Henderson. I don't like Jake Henderson. I mean, he's nice and smart, but everyone likes him. No one is jealous, envious, or wishes they were him. Everyone only likes Jake Henderson. So why am I in the back seat of Henry's car kissing him while Liz kisses Henry? Why am I not kissing Rob, Will, or even Terry? Where is that handsome man/boy who will save me, who will reach down into the bottom of my soul, scoop up the beautiful me, and show her off to the world, proud of his find? And by virtue of that, the important man and his important opinion, all of my high school will suddenly see me, all see me, for the beautiful, important, living jewel that I am. I'll look down on the girls still waiting, pity and concern in my eyes as I gleam and glide in my silver and gold trimmed silk, headdress of white chiffon cascading to the floor over my equally long yellow hair. Where is this God and Savior? It's not Jake. Jake has an alcoholic father, crazy brother, who will move to Westwood and shoot himself in a few years, a brilliant, happy sister who will die a year after her suicided brother walking into traffic. Jake is obsessively, geekily musical, like everyone in his family, and his mom is a religious fanatic, worse than my mom. Jake lives 8 kids and 2 parents to a small 3-bedroom house under the bridge. Jake can't save me. Jake can't save himself. In English class, Jake sits 1 row over, 2 desks back from me. Mr. Fern hands back our tests about a week after my doomed and desperate date. He's noted on my paper that my answers are similar to Jake's. After class, I rage at Mr. Fern. I did not cheat with Jake. Paper clutched in my hand and face very, very red. I splutter. How dare you accuse me of cheating? Mr. Fern smiles calmly. I'm sorry, I noticed a sameness in your answers. I hate that I've been associated with Jake. I would never cheat on Mr. Fern. I mean, he's my teacher. I calm down, but my bottom lip remains distended. If Mr. Fern knows about my date with Jake, so does everyone else. Oh, humiliation.